guys, it's Angela here from Dragonfly Sales Urban Homestead, and we are going to do another canning adventure today. Haven't done a canning video in a while since we had our little disaster last time, which hopefully this will go much better this time. So what we are doing today is we are going to make our second batch of Cowboy candy. Now, when I first heard about this, I had never heard of it before. I guess that makes sense. If I had just first heard of it, I wouldn't have heard of it before. Anyway, sorry, I've only had one cup of coffee today. But the Cowboy candy is basically just candied jalapenos. And we did one batch before, and we did them in slices the first time instead of dicing them up like some people do. And we're gonna go ahead and do the slices again because I'm fine with that. You can definitely just dice them up when you want to use them, if you want to use them as like a relish or something on hamburgers or hot dogs. So we have 3 pounds of jalapenos here, and we are getting ready to slice them up. And we're gonna use the same recipe we used before, except we have some of the brine left over from last time and we canned it. So we'll use that brine, and then if we need to, we'll make some more. I know some people use the brine for other things, but so far I haven't thought of what we would possibly use it for. I know some people do use it though, like I've heard it's really good to do a roast beef. So if we make some more brine, I may do that because we're doing a roast on Monday because we're going sailing on Monday for the first time in months. And I'm going to do some filming for you so that you can see exactly why we are Dragonfly Sales. So we're getting ready to do this. I'm not going to make you watch us doing all the cutting up. The one thing I want to encourage you to do is wear gloves when you are doing the jalapenos, or you will regret it later, because no matter how well you think you're going to wash your hands later, you're going to have jalapeno juice on there. When you do cut these up, the one thing that's great about them is you don't take the seeds out or anything. So all you got to do is slice them. And so that's what we're getting ready to do right now, and then we'll bring you back when we're done with that part of it. So I thought I'd go ahead and just show you real quick what we do to slice them up. I just slice the top off, and that's it, just a tiny little bit. And then I find the bigger knife works better. And then you just try and get them in as even of slices as you want. I tried using like a mandolin or the Rapid Prep slicer from Pampered Chef, but I found because the jalapenos are such an odd shape, it's really hard to do it and to get them in there and to hold them tight so that they slice not at angles and that. So it's really just kind of easier to do this by hand. We're doing 3.5 pounds, and you can see that it's going to totally fill this. It goes quick with 2 of us. So anyway, this is where we're doing now, and in a few minutes we'll show you the next step. Okay, so we have all of the jalapenos sliced up, and there should be about 3.5 pounds there. The recipe actually calls for 3 pounds, but that's okay. So next what we're going to do is, in a pot, we're going to bring to a boil 2 cups apple cider vinegar, 6 cups sugar, 1/2 teaspoon turmeric, 1/2 teaspoon celery seed, 3 cloves garlic, and 1 teaspoon ground cayenne. Now, we thought it was actually kind of sweet last time, so we are actually going to cut the sugar down by 1 cup this time to try it, to make it a little bit healthier, as healthy as something with still 5 cups of sugar can be. But anyway, so you're going to pour all this in. I went ahead and just put it all together. I actually prefer to use cane sugar, but we didn't have the cane sugar open. So I have 1 cup cane sugar, and the other 4 cups are just regular granulated sugar. So what we're going to do now with this is we are going to stir this all up, and then it has to reduce. We have to bring it to a boil, and then we're going to reduce it and simmer it for 5 minutes. And so I'm not going to make you sit here and watch all this. So we will bring you back as soon as we have this going to a boil. All right, we have the brine in here, and it was brought to a boil, and then it's simmered for 5 minutes. So the next step, all you have to do is we're going to add in all these jalapenos. And let's see if I can do this without spilling them and without touching them too much. And of course I'm spilling them everywhere. So again, this is about 3.5 pounds. Ended up with a little bit more than I thought we would. And they, as you see the colors, they are an absolutely gorgeous green right now. Unfortunately, they don't stay that way. As they cook, they're going to change colors, which is natural. It's okay. So we'll get all these mixed up in the brine. And they're going to cook down. I know they don't look like they're all in the brine right now, but I'll continue stirring them. And we're going to set the timer for 5 minutes. And then I will bring you back when we're done with that. Okay, so it has been 5 minutes since it was simmering. And here's a picture of it. And as you can see, they definitely have changed colors. I wish they'd stay the pretty green, but that's the way it works. So what we're doing now is we had the jars in boiling water, getting them heated up so that the temperatures are close enough in a match. We have really hard water, so we also have to put some vinegar in ours. So Jim is just taking all the jars out, and we're getting ready because we have a little bit more this time in the jalapenos than we did last time. We are a little unsure exactly how many jars it's going to take. So we did most of them last time in the 4-ounce jars, the 1/4 pints, and this time we're going to do them in the 1/2 pints. We like to take the recipe because it's a recipe we got off the internet. We wrote down exactly how many jars it used, but since we're switching up the size, not real sure this time, but I highly recommend you do that. Keep a canning notebook and write down exactly how many jars your recipe makes or any modifications. So as I said before, we will write down that we did the modification of leaving out a cup of sugar this time to see how they taste. And we may regret that, but you know, it's all trial and error. So once we get the jars out, then what we're going to be doing is, the first thing you do is take out all the jalapenos of the brine, and you're going to put the jalapenos in the jar first. So I'm going to let him do that part. We have this really nifty funnel that we use, and it fits over the jar, and it even gives you the measurements for the head space. So using a slotted spoon, we're just putting in the sliced jalapenos, and you definitely want to pack them down a little bit, which we'll go back and do that. So what we do is we put all the jalapenos in there first, and then once it's out and you just have the brine or the syrup left, you actually have to bring that back to a boil and boil that for 6 minutes. So we will be back when we get to the stage where we have boiled that, and then we start filling these with the syrup that is left over, and then we'll be back. We are moving on to the next step, which is we boiled, full rolling boil, we did the syrup for 6 minutes. So now they're going to go down into the jars to cover the jalapenos. And on these, you leave a 1/4 inch head space is what they need. And so we'll pour the syrup over all of the jalapenos, and there probably will be some of the syrup left. And in that case, we'll have to go ahead and do some more jars in a little bit and save the brine because it's always good to keep it. It can, as I said earlier in the video, you can use it for all sorts of marinades and whatever you need it for.
Not quite a quarter inch there.
And as you can see, this is the really cool thing about these, is it has the markings on it to tell you what your headspace is. And the other thing you have to do is you're gonna go in and you're gonna burp each of the jars to get the bubbles out. So this is a really cool tool. This one actually has measurements for the headspace also on the other end, but you just kind of run these around the side. And that is it. Then all we do is on these, we're going to do a water bath. It's not a pressure canning. And we're going to cover them with 2 inches of water once we have them in the water bath. And then you bring it to a full boil, and we will boil for 10 to 15 minutes. It's 10 minutes for half pints and 15 minutes for pints. And then you just transfer them over, and we will show you that when we get there. So it actually turned out we're not gonna have much brine left over on these. I'm sure part of it was because we used less sugar, and then we also used more cans. And so the last thing you do before you put the rings on is you wanna take some white vinegar and dip a paper towel or a napkin or something in it, and you wanna go all around the edge and make sure that the sticky is off of it, because otherwise you are definitely not gonna get a proper seal. We're gonna go around all of these. And after I burped them, there was definitely more headspace. So we were able to use some more of the brine. And we have just a little bit of brine left over. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to go ahead and just put that in a container. And since, as I mentioned, we have roast beef on the menu on Monday, I'm gonna use that as the marinade for the roast beef. So we'll tell you how that works out. So, just cleaning all these off and using your vinegar for that. All right, and then you tighten the rings down just to thumb tight. You don't want them super tight on there. You just want to do it with your fingers and get them as tight as you can, that way without really straining. As you see, he's just putting a little bit of pressure on it. So now these will go in the water bath canner as soon as we get the lids on all of them. And we ended up with 3, 6, 8 half pints and 2 quarter pints. So I will definitely write that on the sheet, that I cut out a cup of sugar, and that this is what it made this time with 3.5 versus 3 pounds of jalapenos. And I think it's always important to do that and to keep the notebook, because that way it's not as much of a struggle each time you go to figure out how many jars you need to get ready. So we're just gonna go over here, and Jim's gonna put them in the water bath. Okay, and then after these all get in there, then we'll put the lid on and we'll bring it to a boil, and it'll be 10 minutes that we will boil it. And we'll be back when that's done. 10 minutes is up, so it's time to open up the water bath, and we will take the jars out. Actually, we won't, Jim will. I always let him do this part. And look at those gorgeous jars. And this is the fun part to me, because I like to wait until they start popping. As you can see, if I can get the right angle, that one still has the dome. I think you can see the dome on them. So I like to stand here and wait and listen for them to pop. That's a better picture there. You can see how the little dome, and you're gonna wait until you'll hear the pop, or sometimes you don't hear it. Ping, yes. Oh, there was one. It was that one right there, I think. Nope. So I just sit here and I wait until I hear all the pretty pings so that I know that we did it correctly and it seals. Now, it's always when I start talking, of course. There you go. You guys can hear the pings? Wow, such a pretty sound. Oh, listen to that. That one, I think if you watched, you could see it even go down. So now comes the hardest part. You can't eat these immediately. First of all, they have to sit for 24 hours undisturbed. And then with Cowboy candy, I think you guys can hear the pings under my talking. With Cowboy candy, they have to sit a minimum of 2 weeks and preferably up to 4 weeks before they get fully marinated in it and have the best flavor. Last time we compromised and we waited 3 weeks and it was great. So this is how you make Cowboy candy. I will put a link down below to the recipe that we used. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And if you did, and you haven't subscribed to our channel, go ahead and subscribe and like. Here's some from the last batch. So yeah, go ahead and subscribe and like our videos, and you can hit the little bell button and get notified when we have new videos out. And as always, thanks for your support, guys.